Welcome back, Lincoln Currency. Imagine holding a coin so ordinary, so common, so everyday, that millions of people walk past it without a second thought. Yet inside that tiny disc of copper-plated zinc, a hidden secret sleeps. One that could turn a random pocket find into a life-changing discovery. This is the story of the 2016 1-cent coin, a coin most Americans have touched but never truly noticed. A small piece of metal that lives quietly inside jars, drawers, countertops, and forgotten corners of wallets. But beneath that ordinary appearance lies a mystery, a twist, and a value explosion so shocking that collectors from all over the world have started calling it the sleeping giant of modern pennies. You wouldn't believe that a coin worth just 1 cent at the cash register could ever reach unbelievable numbers like $158 million, but the world of numismatics is full of surprises, and the rarest treasures often hide in plain sight. Picture this: a regular morning, maybe a store counter, maybe a gas station, maybe a school cafeteria. Someone hands you change. Among the shiny or dull pennies, there's one that looks normal: tiny scratches, a bit of aging, nothing special. You look at it for half a second but toss it aside because it's just a penny. But what if that very penny, that random 2016 cent, carried a microscopic detail, an error born during the minting process, a small twist of fate that turned it from a simple coin into something almost mythological? A piece so rare, so valuable, that collectors would fight, bid, and battle millions of dollars just to have it in their display cases. Imagine the shock, the disbelief, the adrenaline, that rush of realizing that a coin you ignored all your life, a coin that seems like nothing, could be worth more than houses, cars, luxury watches, even small businesses. The 2016 penny isn't old. It's not antique. It doesn't carry centuries of history. But what it does carry is something even more interesting: modern rarity. And modern rarity is unpredictable, explosive, and often hidden behind normality. That's why collectors love these coins. They are the surprises, the wild cards, the hidden jackpots. And in the massive sea of 2016 coins, billions made, billions circulated, only a microscopic fraction hold those rare qualities that push their value to insane numbers. Imagine trying to find one out of billions. It's like looking for a golden needle in a desert of sand, but every once in a while, someone somewhere just finds it. Without knowing, without searching, without expecting. They find it in a jar of change or inside a box at home that hasn't been touched in years. And suddenly, their life is different. Think about how small a penny is. Think about how many you've held in your entire life. Think about how many you've dropped, ignored, stepped over, or thrown into drawers. And now imagine that among all those pennies sits a coin that could rewrite your entire day, your entire week, maybe even your entire future. The 2016 penny holds stories like that, stories of people who found rare varieties by accident, stories of collectors who spent years hunting for that one elusive piece, stories of experts who examine these coins under microscopes to catch tiny irregularities that can increase the value from 1 cent to thousands, and in the most exceptional, unbelievable cases, to values like 50,000, 100,000, even sky-high amounts that seem impossible to ordinary people but are completely real in the collector world. Now imagine the weight of this tiny copper-plated wonder. Just 2.5 grams. Lighter than a teaspoon of sugar. But that weight carries history, American history, minting technology, symbolism, political meaning, and above all, the iconic portrait that has stayed the same for decades: Abraham Lincoln staring to the right, quietly guarding the legacy of the United States on the face of the smallest denomination in the currency system. This portrait you've seen thousands of times, yet behind it lies a tale of design evolution, metal composition changes, mint mark stories, and hidden minting accidents that have transformed some 2016 cents into ultra-valuable collector marvels. As you roll this penny between your fingers, you start to feel something deeper, an appreciation for something overlooked. An object so tiny yet packed with layers of meaning. Think of the mint mark, that simple letter D under the date. Most people never notice it. But coin collectors? They know the thrill of spotting it, the thrill of seeing that the coin came from Denver, the mint famous for high production numbers but also occasionally for minting anomalies that slip through the cracks. The Denver Mint strikes billions of coins every year, but even with modern machines, perfection isn't guaranteed. Every rare error, every double detail, every off-center strike, every die crack, every plating bubble becomes a miniature miracle, and miracles create value. Let your mind wander for a moment. Think about how many hands a penny travels through. Think about how many places it visits. A 2016 D penny might start its life in giant bags at the Denver Mint, travel on trucks, enter banks, get distributed to stores, circulate in pockets, jump from one wallet to another, fall into a couch, sit in a dusty place for years, then suddenly reappear. What if one of those hands belonged to someone who unknowingly had a rare treasure? What if someone lost the chance of a lifetime because they never took a moment to look closely? That is why collectors always say the same sentence. Check your change. Because you never know which coin carries the story, the twist, the jackpot. Imagine the metal itself. A core of zinc, covered in a thin copper layer. Modern pennies aren't solid copper like older ones. They're lighter, cheaper to produce, and that copper coating sometimes behaves unpredictably during the minting process. And unpredictability is the birthplace of rarity. A tiny bubble under the copper layer? Rare. A slight misalignment during plating? Rare. A microscopic doubling on Lincoln's eye? Extremely rare. A die crack that leaves a raised line on the coin? Rare. But a dramatic error, something extraordinary, can turn the coin into a piece worth tens of thousands or even millions in the most dramatic market spikes. And now imagine the collector market, fierce, competitive, emotional. When a rare 2016 D penny shows up, collectors rush, dealers analyze, auction houses buzz with energy. Experts with magnifying lenses hover over the coin, tracing every curve, every edge, every shine. People start bidding. Numbers rise. Hands raise. Voices intensify. The value climbs higher and higher because everyone knows how rare the piece is. And when the bidding ends, the final number, sometimes unbelievable, sometimes earth-shattering, echoes through the collector world. Stories spread. Videos emerge. Articles get written. And then suddenly, everyone wants to check their coins again. Picture the moment when someone realizes they have that coin, the rare one, the unbelievable one. Maybe they're at home. Maybe they're cleaning a drawer. Maybe they're counting change at a desk. They spot something unusual. They squint. They bring the coin closer. Their heartbeat rises. They run online. They compare images. They turn on a flashlight. They rotate the coin again and again. That suspense, that excitement, that intense mix of hope and disbelief, that is the magic of the 2016 D penny. You never expect it. It never announces itself. It hides in plain sight until the exact moment someone decides to look closer. What makes this story even more mesmerizing is the idea that this modern penny, produced in vast numbers, can still break expectations. People assume only old coins are valuable. But modern coins? They think they're worthless. And that's exactly where they're wrong. Modern rarities are even more exciting because they were never meant to be rare, and yet they are. They slip through unnoticed, surviving years of circulation, collecting scratches, but still hiding unique traits that elevate them above all ordinary cents. When you look at the 2016 D 1-cent coin, you might think it's just another penny, another tiny piece of currency that barely holds value in a world dominated by digital payments, credit cards, online transfers, and cashless transactions. But every coin has a story, and the story of this particular penny is far more complex, far more unexpected, far more mysterious than anyone imagines. This coin represents a mix of modern minting technology, historical symbolism, economic shifts, cultural continuity, and hidden rarity that makes it one of the most fascinating modern coins ever produced. The journey of this little copper-plated disc, from the moment the dies slam onto the planchet inside the Denver Mint, to the moment someone casually tosses it into a pocket without knowing its worth, is a journey filled with overlooked details and astonishing possibilities. To introduce the real depth of this coin, you have to start by understanding why something so small, so common, so familiar can suddenly become the center of massive attention among collectors. Most people think that rare coins must be old, must be ancient, must be worn down by time or history. They imagine dusty museums, pirate chests, or antique collections. But the 2016 penny breaks those expectations. It shows that even a coin made in the 21st century, a coin younger than most household appliances, can carry secrets that transform it into a treasure worth examining. This is the unexpected beauty of numismatics. Rarity isn't about age alone. Rarity is about circumstances, anomalies, survival, condition, and demand. And this coin checks boxes that most people never think about. Let's take a moment to visualize the minting process. Inside the Denver Mint, machines operate with astonishing precision. Billions of coins move through conveyor belts, robotic arms, and stamping presses that strike planchets at unbelievable speeds. Each die is designed to create a perfect image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Union shield on the reverse. The copper plating must seal perfectly onto the zinc core. The mint mark must be crisp. The date must be clean. Everything must be controlled. But nothing in manufacturing is ever 100% perfect, not even with the most advanced machinery. And that tiny percentage of imperfection becomes the birthplace of rarity. It is within those microseconds, in the flash of metal being struck, that rare errors are born. Doubled dies, plating cracks, off-center strikes, die deterioration lines, misaligned hubs, and countless unpredictable anomalies that happen once in billions. When the 2016 penny enters circulation, it becomes just another coin, passed around, tossed aside, pushed into wallets, collected in cashier drawers, falling to the ground, riding inside washing machines, hiding in car cup holders, getting mixed into change jars, traveling across states, visiting stores, slipping through unnoticed. Yet somewhere in that vast ocean of circulation, a few extremely rare varieties exist. They look normal to the naked eye, but under bright light, under magnification, under the careful observation of a trained collector, they reveal secrets that make them worth more than gold. The rarity of these varieties doesn't come from a dramatic visual difference. The real magic lies in the combination of tiny microscopic details that make experts stop, breathe, and say, "This one is special." Think about how unnoticed pennies have become in daily life. People walk past them on sidewalks. People leave them behind at convenience stores. People don't bother bending down to pick them up. And yet, imagine the irony that one of those ignored coins could be the exact piece that collectors have been searching for years. Something so small, so undervalued, so overlooked could be sitting in someone's palm while they casually wait for change at a grocery store. And that possibility, that silent presence of value hidden in everyday places, creates a kind of thrill that only collectors truly understand. When we talk about the 2016 penny, we have to talk about what it represents: the continuation of America's longest-running circulating coin design featuring Abraham Lincoln. Since 1909, Lincoln's portrait has remained on the penny, making it not just a coin but a cultural symbol. The 2016 version continues this legacy, carrying forward the historical respect for the 16th president, his leadership, his sacrifice, his lasting impact on the United States. On the reverse side, the Union Shield design represents unity, strength, and the preservation of the nation during a time of division. Every part of this coin carries symbolism, even if people don't consciously notice it. Then there's the weight, a precise 2.5 grams. That weight has meaning too. It represents the era of copper-plated zinc coins, an era that began in 1982 when copper prices rose and the U.S. Mint switched compositions to save costs. The 2016 penny is part of that modern era, lightweight, efficient to produce, and designed for high-volume circulation. But this zinc core and copper shell combination can sometimes behave unpredictably during minting, creating small defects that collectors now chase with passion because each defect tells a story. And we cannot forget the mint mark. That tiny letter D matters. It tells you the coin was born in Denver, a mint famous for enormous production numbers. Yet even with billions produced, rarity can still emerge. That's the paradox. The larger the production, the more surprising it becomes when a rare variety appears. And when it does, collectors go wild. Nobody expects rarity in something made in unimaginably huge quantities, and that exact contradiction makes the discovery even more thrilling. Now imagine the current market: dynamic, competitive, and emotional. Collectors are constantly hunting. Online auctions blaze with activity. Coin experts examine every new find. And when a 2016 penny with the right error or unusual condition shows up, the bidding wars can escalate beyond imagination. People have paid insane amounts for modern coins before, and the value of this penny in certain ultra-rare conditions has been rumored, discussed, speculated, and fantasized about by collectors who believe that one perfect specimen could break records. That mythical number, $158 million, represents the peak of these speculations, the what-if scenario that drives interest, hype, and fascination. Because in the world of collectibles, the right combination of rarity and demand can ignite values that break all logic. Collectors aren't just buying metal. They're buying possibility. They're buying history. They're buying the thrill of owning something so rare that only one person on Earth may ever have it. They're buying the emotional story that comes with the coin. And that emotional magnetism is why people still examine pennies under magnifying lenses in a world that seems to have moved on from physical currency. When you begin exploring the 2016 1-cent coin more deeply, the first thing you discover is how deceptively simple it appears. To the untrained eye, it is nothing more than a penny, copper-colored, lightweight, familiar. But the story hidden beneath that simplicity is layered with complexity that even experienced collectors sometimes underestimate. To understand why this coin has shaken the numismatic world, you must study the anatomy of the coin itself, its weight, its composition, its mint mark, its design, its texture, its strike quality, and the microscopic features that define its identity. And the deeper you go into these details, the more you realize that a modern coin like the 2016 penny is not merely an object, it is a miniature blueprint of American minting technology and national symbolism. Hold the penny between your fingers. Feel the smoothness of the copper plating. Notice how light it feels, almost fragile compared to older, solid copper pennies from a different era. The shift from copper to zinc cores in 1982 changed the nature of the penny forever. Suddenly, the coin became a layered object, zinc inside and copper outside. This dual-layer structure introduced new possibilities, both for perfection and for imperfection. Zinc is softer than copper, more reactive, and more sensitive to pressure. When a zinc core meets the intense force of minting dyes, unexpected phenomena sometimes occur. A slight misalignment, even a fraction of a millimeter, can cause plating bubbles, micro-tears, or tiny distortions that are invisible under normal lighting but highly prized by collectors who study coins under magnification. When you look at the obverse of the coin, the portrait of Abraham Lincoln stares forward with its usual calm, serious expression. The detail in the hair, the cheek, the beard, the bow tie, every curve was created to precise specifications. But when something goes even slightly off in the minting process, anomalies begin to appear. The doubling of Lincoln's eye, the shadowing around the nose, the slight doubling in the date, or the faint distortion in the word liberty, these imperfections can turn a regular penny into a rarity. A single misstrike, a single die flaw, or a single duplicate impression can transform the value dramatically. And because billions of 2016 pennies were made, the idea that a handful contain these anomalies makes them even more desirable. Rarity inside abundance. That is the paradox that drives collectors wild. The reverse of the penny carries the Union Shield, a symbol of national unity and preservation. But this shield, too, can manifest errors. A slight die crack might run across the shield. A plating bubble may appear near the stripes. A tiny distortion may form near the initials FG, for designer Frank Gasparo, or in later cases, engraver initials depending on the specific detail. A missing detail might appear if the die is worn. All these tiny changes add layers of identity to the coin. Imagine millions of shields perfectly struck, and then imagine a single shield with a small, unexpected variation. That single coin becomes a masterpiece of rarity. Then we look at the weight, exactly 2.5 grams. Such a small number, such a tiny measurement. But even this detail matters. A penny that weighs slightly more or slightly less might indicate a minting anomaly. Too heavy might suggest excess copper plating. Too light might indicate incomplete plating or metal loss. A microscopic variation in weight can mean the difference between a standard penny and a rare collectible. And collectors know this. They weigh pennies carefully. They analyze them. They check every measurement because the thrill of finding something rare is worth the effort. The edges of the coin matter too. The smoothness of the rim, the sharpness of the strike, the presence of any raised metal lines, the thickness of the rim, all of these are clues. A slightly thicker rim might reveal a weak strike. A slightly misshapen rim might indicate a misaligned die. A raised metal line could be the result of a die crack. A tiny notch could be the sign of a striking anomaly. Every tiny detail carries meaning, and the more you examine, the more the coin reveals its story. Then comes the mint mark, D for Denver. This single letter is not just a mark, it is an identity stamp. It tells you where the coin was born. It tells you which machine struck it, which dies created it, which minting conditions shaped it. Every mint has its own patterns of errors, its own types of die wear, its own striking tendencies. Denver is known for striking coins sharply, with high pressure and clarity. But even in such a controlled environment, mistakes happen. And when they do, the results can be spectacular. A Denver era coin often gains more attention because the mint is known for quality, so any flaw becomes even more striking. The massive production volume of 2016 D pennies creates another layer of fascination. Billions produced. Billions circulating. Billions stored, saved, spent, exchanged, and abandoned. Somewhere in that ocean of coins, a few extraordinary pieces hide. Maybe they're in someone's jar at home. Maybe they're in a bank's coin machine. Maybe they're stuck between car seats. Maybe they're buried under dust in a drawer. These coins don't announce themselves. They wait silently, blending in with the ordinary ones, until the moment someone with curiosity and attention notices something different, something out of place, something valuable. Collectors often talk about the hunt, and the 2016 D penny has become a favorite target for this hunt. The idea that a coin from just a few years ago could be worth unimaginable amounts intrigues both beginners and experts alike. People start examining every penny they receive. They bring magnifying glasses into their homes. They hold coins beneath bright lights, turning them slowly to spot anything unusual. The market has shifted dramatically because modern coins have proven that rarity can appear anywhere, even in the most unexpected places. And then there's the psychological aspect of the coin, the emotional pull it creates. Humans love mystery. Humans love treasure. Humans love stories of unexpected fortune. And this penny gives all of that. It makes you wonder. It makes you hope. It makes you check your pockets and drawers. And even if 999 out of 1,000 coins are ordinary, the possibility of that one extraordinary piece changes everything. It motivates people to keep searching, keep learning, keep collecting. Now think about the enormous value speculated for the rarest possible 2016 D penny, $158 million. The number sounds impossible, absurd, unbelievable. But in the collector world, the rarest of rare items have reached extreme values before. A perfect combination of rarity, condition, uniqueness, and demand can produce values that go far beyond normal logic. And while such astronomical prices exist mostly in theoretical extremes or highly specific cases, the idea fuels collectors' imaginations. It gives the coin mythic status. It gives it a legendary aura that spreads across communities, videos, articles, and conversations. All of this, the design, the composition, the minting process, the possible errors, the weight, the rim, the shield, the portrait, the mint mark, forms the foundation of what the 2016 D penny is. A coin that is simple on the surface but immensely complex underneath. A coin that looks ordinary but holds extraordinary possibilities. A coin that millions ignore but thousands search for with passion. And every tiny detail you learn brings you closer to understanding why this penny has become a modern icon of mystery and hidden value. As we go deeper into the world of the 2016 D 1-cent coin, we uncover layers that most people never consider when looking at something as common as a penny. This is the part where the coin stops being just metal and starts becoming a story, a journey, a silent traveler that passes from one person to another without ever announcing its identity. Every fingerprint that touches it, every pocket that holds it, every drawer that hides it contributes to the unseen journey of this tiny artifact. And in that quiet journey, the coin absorbs history, not the kind written in books, but the invisible kind, the everyday stories of life in America. The 2016 D penny is a witness to countless moments, both ordinary and extraordinary, and that is one of the reasons collectors look at it with a sense of imagination and curiosity. Imagine the coin fresh off the striking press, still warm from the force of the dies. It falls into a bin among thousands of other pennies, all identical in purpose but not identical in destiny. Most of these coins will live ordinary lives, spent quickly, handled carelessly, ignored endlessly. But a select few will hold anomalies that will change their fate forever. These rare coins may pass through the hands of people who never even noticed them. Someone may buy a soda with them. A cashier may drop them into a drawer. A child may add them to a piggy bank. Someone might sweep them under a couch without realizing they have brushed aside a treasure worth more than a luxury mansion. And this contrast between appearance and reality is what makes the 2016 D penny so fascinating. The modern era of coin collecting has changed the landscape entirely. In the past, people focused mainly on old coins, centuries-old pieces, rare minting years, limited issues. But today, collectors have turned their attention to modern coins, especially those that contain errors or unusual varieties. Why? Because modern minting machines operate at such a fast pace that even a single accident can result in incredibly valuable pieces. Billions of coins are made with robotic precision, but that also means any deviation, a minor mistake, a small misalignment, can stand out dramatically. Modern era coins often look sharper, more defined, and more easily recognizable under magnification. And because people don't check modern coins as much, the rarest pieces often go unnoticed for years. The 2016 D penny exists within this exact environment of discovery. Its value is driven not by age but by scarcity of certain era types, the condition of the coin, and the demand created by collectors who chase perfection or anomaly. When you combine that rarity with the excitement of modern numismatics, you get the perfect recipe for huge valuations. And this blend of modern technology and old-fashioned treasure hunting makes every 2016 D penny a potential mystery waiting to be solved. Think of it like this: billions of coins are out there, but only a tiny handful may hold the specific characteristics that could make them incredibly valuable. It's the possibility that keeps people searching, and then there is the visual appeal. Even though it's just a penny, the copper color gives it warmth. The smooth, reflective surface catches the light. The fine details of Lincoln's portrait show craftsmanship that connects the present with historical tradition. The Union shield on the back stands bold and strong, symbolizing the unity of a nation that survived division and conflict. And when any part of that design is even slightly altered by minting error, it creates a unique fingerprint, a one-of-a-kind identity no other coin shares. It becomes a piece of art shaped by mechanical accident. Collectors often spend hours studying the surface of these coins. A tiny doubling on the letters of "I in God We Trust" might spark excitement. A shadowed area on the date might signify a doubled die. A slight crack near the rim could indicate a rare die break. A raised bump on the shield may be a plating bubble that survived circulation. These discoveries are thrilling because they represent moments where machinery slipped, where perfection failed, and where rarity was born. The idea that a flaw can make something worth more is one of the most fascinating contradictions of numismatics. Now, imagine the emotional impact of finding one of these rare pieces by accident. Picture someone sitting at home, sorting through pocket change, maybe bored, maybe curious, maybe motivated by a video they watched about rare pennies. They pick up a handful of coins. They turn them under a bright light. Suddenly, something looks different. Maybe the date looks odd. Maybe a line on the shield doesn't look normal. Their heart starts racing. They search online. They compare images. They zoom in. they tilt the coin under the light again. That moment, when curiosity turns into realization, is electrifying. It is the moment where the ordinary transforms into extraordinary. But this excitement isn't limited to beginners. Even expert collectors who've handled thousands of coins still feel that jolt when they discover something unusual. They've trained their eyes to catch anomalies instantly. They can see things most people overlook. They can look at a coin and immediately sense whether something is off. And for them, the 2016 penny represents a challenge, because among billions of perfect coins, they crave the imperfect ones. The ones that show the minting machinery's unpredictable side. The ones that capture a mistake frozen in time. The market reflects this excitement. When a rare 2016 penny surfaces online, the community reacts immediately. Collectors share the discovery. Experts analyze the photos. Some argue about classification. Others compare it to known varieties. The discussions grow. The marketplace heats up. People bid. The value climbs. And suddenly, a coin that probably cost less than 1 cent to produce becomes an object of desire worth thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, and in the rarest hypothetical cases, even more, based on speculation and collector frenzy. The idea that a coin could reach numbers like $158 million sounds unbelievable, but it symbolizes the extreme peak of rarity value, a mythic figure that inspires people to keep searching. And then, you must consider the cultural layer. The penny is a symbol of American everyday life. It has been around for over a century. People joke about pennies being worthless, yet they are still used in traditions, wishing fountains, lucky pennies, souvenirs, school projects. The penny is small but symbolic. It carries a message, a spirit of history and continuity. And when a tiny everyday symbol becomes a potential treasure, the contrast makes the story even more compelling. A coin worth 1 cent is suddenly worth more than entire neighborhoods. That twist captures the imagination. The story of the 2016 penny becomes even more interesting when you realize how unnoticed rarity can remain for years. A rare piece might sit in a person's home for a decade before anyone checks it. Another might travel across states, changing hands hundreds of times before someone finally recognizes its uniqueness. A coin may sit inside a cash register at a store, untouched, while its hidden value remains unknown. Some rare coins are discovered by children, others by elderly people, others by collectors who never expected that specific coin to be valuable. The randomness of discovery is part of the magic. As the exploration of the 2016 1-cent coin continues, the deeper narrative of why collectors suddenly shift attention towards such modern pieces begins to unfold in ways many casual observers never expect. The Lincoln cent, especially from the Denver Mint, becomes a kind of silent witness to the changing landscape of the U.S. coinage system, the economic fluctuations of the decade, and the evolving behavior of collectors who no longer focus exclusively on ancient or classic-era coins. Instead, they turn toward mint-state modern cents, hunting for errors, oddities, and anomalies that can transform a simple 1-cent copper-coated zinc disc into a small fortune. And with the 2016 penny, the fascination intensifies because collectors have learned that some of the most valuable Lincoln cents in history were discovered in ordinary pocket change, forgotten drawers, and unsearched rolls purchased for only a few dollars. Over time, this modern cent gains the reputation of being both ordinary and extraordinary at the same time, reflecting how the simplest piece of change can carry secrets hidden in plain sight. The intrinsic makeup of the coin, only a thin layer of copper plating bonded over a zinc core, may seem unimpressive to the average person, but for numismatists, the composition itself tells a story of economic decisions, metal shortages, and the constant balancing act of producing billions of coins at the lowest possible cost. The weight of the 2016 penny, precisely 2.5 grams, marks an era where lightweight, cost-efficient coinage dominates production, contrasting heavily with the earlier bronze cents that weighed 3.11 grams for more than 60 years. This seemingly small difference is massive in the world of coin classification, because weight irregularities often point to freak production events, either accidental variations or mechanical misalignments in the minting machinery. Even a minor deviation from the standard 2.5 grams can mean a rare transitional strike, a wrong planchet error, or an improperly annealed piece. These errors sometimes become the holy grail for collectors, especially when discovered in modern dates that typically receive less attention. Collectors frequently ask what makes a coin like the 2016 penny suddenly skyrocket in theoretical collectible value ranges, sometimes reaching enormous claimed prices like $158 million in exaggerated or hypothetical scenarios of rarity. The answer lies not in fantasy but in the psychological and economic forces that shape the coin hobby. People love the idea that something so small, so common, and so overlooked could potentially hold unimaginable worth. This fascination creates a kind of mythology around coins, and once a story gains traction, whether through auctions, viral posts, or intriguing claims, collectors rush to examine their own 2016 pennies, hoping to uncover the 1 in a billion specimen containing a dramatic mint blunder. At the Denver Mint, where the 2016 penny was produced. High-speed presses strike planchets with remarkable precision, yet even with all the advanced technology, mistakes still occur. The D mint mark, placed beneath the date on the obverse side, indicates the origin of the coin, and careful inspection sometimes reveals anomalies in the mint mark's shape, slight distortions, doubling, or microscopic shifts that happen during the hubbing process. When collectors encounter such details, they document them meticulously, compare them to known varieties, and sometimes discover a new classification that had gone unnoticed for years. The obverse, showing Abraham Lincoln's detailed portrait, can also carry doubled features such as overlapping hairlines, elongated contours near the nose, faint mirrored shadows around the lettering, "In God We Trust," or even minor spread on "Liberty." Each of these characteristics transforms a common 2016 penny into something far beyond ordinary pocket change. The reverse design, highlighting the Union shield with a bold horizontal scroll carrying the words 1 cent, adds another layer of complexity. This shield represents national unity and strength, a reminder of the period following the Civil War when Lincoln fought relentlessly to preserve the Union. Even though the design is modern, introduced in 2010, its symbolism connects the coin to the theme of national endurance. On the reverse, small imperfections may appear in the shield's vertical lines, the banner edges, or the curvature of the letters in United States of America. These imperfections often arise from die deterioration, polishing marks, or misalignment. When these anomalies become dramatic enough, such as a major die break or a shattered die effect, they become incredibly desirable. Every copper-plated zinc Lincoln cent, including the 2016 carries the story of how modern minting techniques evolved. Billions of pennies are produced annually, making it easy to assume they hold little value, but for collectors, abundance is part of the thrill because the challenge lies in finding the anomalies buried among the masses. Some collectors spend months or even years studying sealed bank boxes filled with uncirculated rolls, searching for that single perfect or flawed example that stands out from the billions. Others examine circulated coins, hoping wear has not erased error features. Many hobbyists share findings online, fueling speculation, excitement, and an ever-expanding market for rare varieties. The market interest surrounding valuable error pennies continues to push curiosity toward coins like the 2016 Stories circulate about cents sold for enormous sums due to extraordinary errors, and while most modern coins do not reach such dramatic figures, the dream of uncovering an incredibly rare piece continues to energize and expand the community. With that dream alive, collectors keep asking about weight variations, doubled dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, missing letters, die cracks, and other rare minting mishaps. This perpetual interest transforms even a common cent into a source of continuous fascination. As collectors carefully examine their 2016 pennies, the experience becomes more than simple identification, it becomes a journey. Every scratch, every gleam of copper, every tiny ridge pressed into the surface tells part of the narrative. Some coins show early die state details, sharp and crisp, indicating freshly prepared dies. Others display late die stages, with softened details and subtle distortions. Each stage of die life contributes uniquely to the coin's character, and collectors often prefer the extremes, either a flawless early strike or a dramatic late-stage error. The possibility that even a modern coin could theoretically command an astronomical value introduces a sense of wonder into the hobby. Though such sky-high valuations rarely become reality, the idea keeps collectors motivated, encouraging them to continue hunting, learning, and exploring deeper than ever. The 2016 penny becomes a symbol of opportunity, proof that hidden treasures are not confined to ancient artifacts or classic coins from the early 1900s. Instead, they might be hiding right now in a forgotten jar on a kitchen shelf, a handful of loose change in a car, or a random coin handed back from a grocery store cashier. As the examination of the 2016 1-cent coin moves further into the deeper layers of numismatic interest, the fascination surrounding this modern penny continues expanding into realms most people never imagine when they casually glance at a small copper-colored coin. What makes the 2016 Lincoln cent so profoundly captivating to collectors is not merely what it represents historically, but the way its existence intersects with economic trends, minting technology, collector psychology, and the enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln, whose portrait stands as one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. This cent is not an isolated object. It is part of a far greater system that spans more than a century of American history, industrial development, and cultural significance. Every time a collector picks up a 2016 penny, they unknowingly hold the combined result of hundreds of separate processes: blanking, upsetting, annealing, cleaning, striking, inspecting, bagging, transporting, distributing, and circulating. Each stage introduces potential variations, and these variations are what ignite the passion behind the hunt for rare mint errors that could turn a seemingly worthless coin into a significant collectible. These possibilities are what fueled the dreams of people searching through bank rolls, coin jars, and old containers stored away in family homes. What appears to be ordinary pocket change can become a true discovery, so collectors never underestimate even the most modern dates, especially those minted in extraordinarily high volumes. The 2016 penny, struck at the Denver Mint, is part of a production system that regularly operates under immense pressure to deliver billions of coins with speed and consistency. The Denver Mint, known for its exceptional output, uses advanced high-speed coining presses capable of striking up to 750 coins per minute. With such speed comes enormous stress placed on dies, machinery, and planchets. Dies begin to deteriorate under the immense pressure of constant striking. Planchets may sometimes enter presses unevenly or in compromised condition. Even subtle misalignments, mere fractions of a millimeter, can result in errors that escape quality control and enter circulation. These accidental survivors become highly valuable to collectors because they represent moments where technology, timing, and mechanical work converge in rare, unpredictable ways. Collectors often analyze the obverse of the 2016 penny for signs of doubling that may appear around Lincoln's profile, particularly near the nose, mouth, eye, and beard. Areas where tiny shifts in die mechanics tend to manifest as doubled or distorted features. While most of these are considered minor and fall under die deterioration doubling, more dramatic examples of doubled dies, if confirmed, can command significant attention. The fascination grows because even though billions of 2016 pennies exist, only a minuscule fraction ever show noticeable doubling. This rarity fuels excitement, encouraging collectors to inspect each coin carefully under magnification, hoping to identify striking anomalies that elevate the coin's significance far beyond its face value. Turning to the reverse, the Union Shield design, chosen to represent federal unity, carries sharp vertical stripes representing the states, bound together by the horizontal scroll bearing the denomination. The simplicity of the shield, combined with its rigid lines and geometric symmetry, makes any deviation immediately noticeable. Die cracks running across the shield can appear like lightning bolts splintering across its surface. Cut breaks near the rim can distort the clean edges. Misaligned strikes can cause parts of the design to drift slightly off-center. All these effects transform the coin into a unique collectible specimen, drawing the attention of error specialists who categorize and document such anomalies in rich detail. What makes the 2016 penny especially interesting is the era in which it was minted. The mid-2010s marked a period when debates intensified over whether the U.S. should discontinue the penny due to its rising production costs and diminishing purchasing power. Yet despite these debates, the mint continued to produce staggering quantities of the coin, often exceeding 5 billion units per year. This contradiction, between calls to eliminate the penny and massive ongoing mint production, adds another layer of context to the 2016 descent. Collectors realize that modern coins minted during periods of political or economic uncertainty sometimes become historical markers in hindsight. If the penny is ever discontinued in the future, later generations may look back to coins like the 2016 D as part of the final chapters of the Lincoln cents production history. Another intriguing aspect surrounding the 2016 D penny is how widespread circulation exposes it to countless environmental factors that alter its appearance. Some cents acquire unique toning after exposure to moisture, chemicals, heat, or sunlight. Others oxidize differently depending on the environment, resulting in colors ranging from deep mahogany to subtle iridescent patterns. While artificial toning is easy to spot for experts, naturally toned cents can become interesting collectibles if the patterns appear stable and visually appealing. Even worn coins, though not usually considered valuable, can develop distinctive appearances that turn them into conversation pieces for collectors. Roll hunters, people who open bank-wrapped rolls in search of high-grade or error coins, consider the 2016 D an essential date to examine because the chances of finding mint-fresh examples remain high. These uncirculated pieces, untouched since leaving the mint, often retain brilliant luster that makes their details stand out sharply. High-grade examples with full strike details, free from contact marks, scratches, or discoloration, can achieve premium values when certified by professional grading services. A perfect or near-perfect grade, especially MS-67 or MS-68, elevates the coin from pocket change to a desirable slab collectible worth far more than its face value. In rare cases, coins with extraordinary quality reach elite grades such as MS-69, becoming extremely scarce and valuable because achieving such perfection in mass-production coinage is nearly impossible. Collectors who seek deeper knowledge of the 2016 D penny also explore the subtle variations resulting from the copper plating process. Because these pennies consist of a pure zinc core with a thin copper layer, flaws can occur during the plating stage. Some coins exhibit plating bubbles, small raised bumps caused by trapped gas beneath the copper coating. Severe plating issues can create peeling, blistering, or exposed zinc. These errors, though common in general terms, still interest hobbyists who collect specific types of plating failures. In extreme cases, dramatic plating blisters can turn the coin into a visually shocking specimen that stands out sharply from ordinary examples. Even the edges of the 2016 D penny can reveal tiny details that indicate minting issues. The rim, formed during the upsetting process, may appear uneven or incomplete if the blank is misfed or if the upsetting mill experiences minor mechanical inconsistencies. Off-center strikes, broad strikes, and partial collar errors can all affect the rim's appearance. These variations make the coin appealing to error enthusiasts who study such flaws as part of the coin's production story. The collector community continually shares discoveries online, posting magnified images, circulating videos, and documenting unusual finds in forums, groups, and social platforms dedicated to numismatics. With each post, interest in modern coins grows wider, especially among new collectors attracted by the thrill of possibly finding something rare. The 2016 D penny occupies a unique position in this excitement, positioned as a modern date with immense potential for hidden anomalies. It symbolizes the modern era of collecting, a time when knowledge spreads quickly, discoveries surface rapidly, and coin hunting becomes accessible to anyone willing to look closely. As the story of the 2016 D 1-cent coin expands further, collectors begin to recognize that modern pennies like this one exist not merely as currency, but as part of a complex, ever-evolving timeline shaped by decades of technological advancements and shifting cultural values. This cent, minted in immense quantities, seems at first to be the most ordinary object imaginable, lightweight, widely distributed, and often overlooked. Yet, the moment someone begins examining it closely, the penny transforms from a simple piece of pocket change into a detailed artifact filled with microscopic clues about how the U.S. Mint functions, how coins undergo stress in circulation, and how intricate the design elements truly are when magnified under careful inspection. As collectors and enthusiasts study the 2016 Lincoln Cent further, they begin to appreciate how the Denver Mint's high-speed production line contributes to the subtle characteristics of each coin. Every coin struck at such rapid speeds undergoes intense mechanical pressure, so intense that even small fluctuations in the die alignment, strike force, or planchet position create unique microfeatures. These microfeatures are often invisible to the naked eye, but when highlighted under a 10x or 20x magnifier, they begin to reveal faint die lines, polish marks, minuscule scratches, and subtle distortions. These tiny marks tell a silent story about the machinery that struck them, the wear and tear on the dies, the rhythm of the presses, and the continuous repetition of striking cycle after cycle, hour after hour. Collectors who dig deeper into the study of Lincoln cents recognize that the obverse design of the 2016 penny, with Lincoln's portrait, holds details that remain consistent across all modern pennies. Yet each coin has minute differences that make it unique. Lincoln's cheek, jawline, and collar often reveal strike strength variations. In some examples, the jawline appears crisp and sharply defined, indicating a strong, clear strike from a newer die. In other examples, the same area appears slightly mushy or softened, a sign that the die has endured significant fatigue. These subtle distinctions can dramatically influence a coin's desirability among professional graders who evaluate the difference between a high-quality mint-state example and a slightly lower-grade version. Around the edges of Lincoln's image, collectors sometimes observe faint doubling, shadows, or distortions caused by die shifts or alignment issues. While many of these occur due to die deterioration rather than true hub doubling, they still fascinate collectors because they represent glimpses into the minting process. The lettering, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, becomes an important focal point for identifying variations. Some collectors search for minor spread around the letters, slight ticks or marks, and unusual spacing that might indicate an alignment anomaly. While most of these features are subtle, they add layers of depth to the coin's individuality. Turning once again to the reverse of the 2016 penny, the Union Shield stands as a bold symbol of national resilience and unity. The sharp lines of the shield create a perfect contrast for analyzing strike clarity, texture, and plaque-like surface details. Collectors often inspect the vertical shield stripes closely, searching for die cracks, breaks, or raised metal lines known as die scratches. Sometimes these lines run across the shield like streaks of light or subtle fractures. Other times, collectors find dramatic die chips lodged between the shield bars or near the horizontal scroll where 1 cent is inscribed. These die chips create small blobs or raised bumps on the coin's surface, common yet appealing to those who enjoy cataloging different stages of die wear. Even small shifts in the metal flow during striking can change how the fields, the flat areas of the coin, appear. Some 2016 pennies exhibit a mirror-like gleam when freshly struck, while others show a satiny, textured appearance depending on how the dies were prepared. Coins struck with fresh, polished dies sometimes possess remarkable brilliance, making them incredibly desirable to collectors who value eye appeal. On the other hand, coins struck with older, worn dies may show grainy fields, especially around the edges of the shield, where the metal flow sometimes becomes inconsistent. Another aspect that collectors consider is the long-term stability of the coin's copper plating. The 2016 penny, like all modern post-1982 cents, is made of a zinc core coated with a thin layer of copper. This composition gives the coin its iconic color, but also introduces potential vulnerabilities. Zinc reacts differently to environmental conditions compared to solid bronze, making the coin susceptible to corrosion, bubbling, or dark spots if damaged or exposed to moisture. Because of this, collectors value well-preserved examples, particularly those that have remained untouched since minting and stored properly. The contrast between a perfectly preserved example and a coin that develops surface blisters or discoloration becomes significant in grading evaluations. Some collectors also examine how the coin ages over time, documenting different forms of toning that occur naturally. Toning can produce subtle transitions in the copper color, such as rose, gold, amber, chestnut, or deep chocolate hues. In some cases, coins develop multicolored patterns, bands of blue, purple, green, or orange, caused by slow interaction between the copper surface and environmental elements. Though modern cents typically tone unpredictably, naturally toned pieces can become visually striking and collectible due to their beauty and uniqueness. One of the reasons modern pennies like the 2016D remain highly studied is that they are accessible to everyone. Anyone can obtain rolls of pennies from banks, sort through them, and potentially discover high-grade or rare examples. This inclusivity invites new collectors into the hobby and encourages deeper exploration. The thrill of discovering something rare inside a common roll gives collectors a sense of discovery similar to treasure hunting. Many people who enter the world of coin collecting begin with something simple, like noticing a shiny 2016D penny, and then find themselves absorbed by the endless details, history, and technicalities behind the minting process. Collectors also understand that for a coin to reach incredibly high valuations, into mythical figures like tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars, it typically requires a combination of factors that create an almost impossible scenario of rarity, condition, error, and historical significance. While such extreme valuations are hypothetical, the dream of discovering something extraordinarily unique keeps collectors motivated. The idea that a small copper-plated zinc coin minted in 2016 could, under the right circumstances, become unimaginably valuable continues to fuel fascination. And although the typical market values for most modern pennies remain low, the possibility of locating a spectacular error, an experimental strike, or a historically significant anomaly always exists, no matter how unlikely. This sense of possibility, this lingering hope, is what drives collectors to study the smallest details of a 2016D penny. Every small scratch, every raised bump, every variation in the strike represents a trace of the minting journey. These traces connect the coin to the broader narrative of American coinage, modern minting techniques, and the enduring curiosity that motivates collectors to keep searching, learning, and discovering new aspects of coins that millions of others overlook. As the exploration of the 2016D Lincoln cent continues to unfold, the seemingly ordinary penny reveals even more layers of intrigue, driven by the complex interplay of minting science, historical symbolism, everyday circulation, and the endless curiosity of collectors who refuse to overlook even the smallest details. With billions of examples produced, the coin might appear insignificant in the eyes of the general public. Yet it is precisely this mass production that creates an environment where anomalies, errors, and exceptional examples emerge. Hidden among the countless billions, there are coins that stand out, coins that tell unique stories, and coins that represent both the failures and triumphs of the minting machinery. The 2016D cent becomes a gateway for collectors not only to understand modern U.S. coinage but also to experience the thrill of discovery that drives numismatics forward. Every 2016D penny begins its life as a zinc planchet coated with a microscopically thin layer of copper. This copper plating, essential to the coin's iconic color, plays a significant role in shaping the coin's final appearance, durability, and behavior during the striking process. When the coining press applies tons of pressure onto the planchet, the copper layer stretches and compresses across the zinc core, forming the raised design elements and the recessed fields. This high-pressure environment is where the earliest signs of potential errors emerge. If the plating has weak spots or if the zinc underneath reacts unevenly, small plating blisters, folds, or bubbles can form even before the coin leaves the mint. Though these errors often go unnoticed by the general public, collectors recognize them as markers of minting inconsistencies and categorize them accordingly. As collectors continue their search for unique 2016D pennies, they often encounter subtle differences in color, luster, and texture. The luster, created by the flow of metal during the striking process, varies depending on how new or worn the dies were at the time of striking. Fresh dies create a radiant, cartwheel-like shine across the fields of the coin, producing a reflective, almost glowing appearance. In contrast, older dies diminish this effect, leaving behind a subdued, matte-like texture. These differences captivate collectors because they reveal how long the dies had been in use. Some 2016 pennies showcase incredibly crisp details, sharp edges around Lincoln's portrait, deeply defined letters, and a perfectly rendered shield on the reverse. Others display softer features, flattened areas, or faint polished lines, all of which hint at the die's condition. Collectors who study the coin under magnification often observe intricate micro-patterns created by die polishing. The mint routinely polishes dies to maintain detail clarity, and this polishing leaves behind fine, brush-like abrasions visible under magnification. Depending on how aggressively the die was polished, these lines can appear lightly or heavily etched across the fields. Enthusiasts assign significance even to these marks, as certain die polishing patterns appear only in specific batches of coins, making them useful markers for identifying die states or potential varieties. In some 2016 pennies, the polishing process even removes small parts of the design, such as faint lines in Lincoln's hair or tiny segments of the shield's background texture. These intentional removals, known as die abrasions, become features that collectors document with great interest. The Denver Mint's production of Lincoln cents in 2016 was remarkably high, further increasing the potential for minor mechanical disruptions during the minting process. Striking billions of coins requires intense precision, but no system remains flawless under such heavy pressure. Dies eventually crack, producing raised, vein-like lines on the finished coins. These die cracks can appear anywhere, across Lincoln's face, running along the lettering, or coursing through the shield. When die cracks grow large enough, they create what collectors call cuds, where parts of the coin's rim or design appear filled in or swollen with raised metal. These dramatic errors become favorites among collectors because they provide unmistakable evidence of die failure at the mint. The edges of the 2016 penny also contribute to its story. Although the coin has a smooth, plain edge, this edge is often where misalignment issues reveal themselves first. If the planchet enters the press imperfectly, the resulting coin may show weakness on one side of the rim, or an entirely distorted shape. These striking errors, off-center strikes, partial collars, or broad strikes, are highly collectible, especially when the design remains fully visible. A 2016 penny struck 10%, 20%, or even 50% off-center can become a rare and desirable piece, highly sought after by error specialists. After the coin leaves the mint, its journey continues, and the conditions it encounters shape its appearance in endless ways. Circulation introduces wear patterns that differ dramatically from coin to coin. Some pennies remain sharp and clean for years, surviving in pockets, cash registers, and coin jars without much abrasion. Others quickly lose their surface luster, becoming dull or scratched from constant contact with other coins. The environment also plays a significant role. Coins exposed to moisture, acidity, or chemicals can tone unpredictably, creating rich shades of color that sometimes appear accidental, sometimes artistic. Toning can produce streaks, halos, dark spots, or even rainbow-like reflections on the copper surface. While some collectors prefer untoned coins, others appreciate these naturally formed colors, seeing them as unique fingerprints of the coin's life beyond the mint. The 2016 penny also remains relevant because of its place in the longer series of Lincoln cents. The Lincoln cent series, introduced in 1909 for Lincoln's 100th birthday, is the longest-running design in U.S. coinage history. Over more than a century, the coin has undergone changes in reverse designs, metal composition, and subtle stylistic adjustments. The 2016 penny belongs to the era defined by the Union Shield reverse, a design chosen to honor Lincoln's legacy and the preservation of the Union. Even though the shield reverse is relatively new compared to the wheat and memorial reverses, its symbolism deeply connects to Lincoln's role in American history. This connection enhances the appeal of every modern Lincoln cent to collectors who appreciate the continuity of tradition alongside modernization of design. The sheer number of variations possible in coins minted at such high volume ensures that collectors remain interested in the 2016 penny. They examine mint sets, sealed rolls, and circulation finds, each time hoping to uncover a new variety or era previously undocumented. Online communities continue to share discoveries, And as magnification tools become more accessible, collectors identify microscopic anomalies that earlier generations might have missed. This ongoing exploration means the 2016 D penny will likely remain a subject of study for decades, continually revealing new information to those willing to look closely. At the heart of this fascination lies the simple truth that even the most ordinary coin can possess extraordinary possibilities. Whether it is a dramatic minting error, a perfectly preserved mint-state example, or a uniquely toned piece that catches the eye, the 2016 D penny demonstrates that value, monetary or historical, can emerge from the most unexpected places. While the average person sees a coin worth just 1 cent, collectors see chapters of history, craftsmanship, technology, and mystery contained within its small round shape. And now, as we reach this powerful moment in our journey through the world of the 2016 D Lincoln cent, something truly remarkable begins to unfold, because this is where your role becomes more important than ever before. Up to this point, you've explored the minting process, the microscopic details, the plating characteristics, the die states, the circulation story, the toning transformations, and the massive history that surrounds even a single penny. But now, the real question emerges: what if the next unbelievable discovery is not in someone else's collection, not in a rare auction, not in a museum, but sitting right now in your home, your drawers, your coin jars, or the pockets of your everyday jeans? What if the next extraordinary 2016 D penny, the kind that collectors talk about for years, the kind that becomes a legend in the community, ends up in your hands simply because you decided to look? Collectors around the world know one powerful truth: rare finds never announce themselves. They appear silently, unexpectedly, and most of the time, they are overlooked because the person holding the coin never imagined it could be special. That is why this moment becomes a turning point for you. This is where the journey becomes interactive, because as someone who now understands the deeper world of coins, you are already ahead of millions of people who pass by treasures every single day without realizing it. With each detail you've learned, from the potential doubling on the obverse to the plating bubbles and die cracks on the reverse, you have unlocked a new ability, an ability to spot things that others would miss completely. And that's exactly why this moment matters so much. Because now you're standing at the edge of possibility, and all it takes is one coin. One penny. One tiny copper-plated piece that might carry an error no one has documented. One perfectly preserved mint-state example that could achieve a grade most collectors only dream of. One dramatic off-center strike hiding in a box of change. One incredible die break, or a rare plating anomaly. Anything is possible when billions of coins exist, and only a fraction have ever been closely examined by someone with knowledge. But now, the question that truly becomes important is this: are you ready to check your own coins? Are you ready to go through that piggy bank, that metal tin, that forgotten coin pouch you haven't opened in years? Because this is where engagement begins. This is where you stop being just a viewer and start becoming an active part of the world of rare coins. Imagine how thrilling it would feel if you found something unbelievable, something so rare that collectors across the world talk about it with awe. That feeling of holding a discovery, knowing it was in your possession all along, that surge of excitement as you compare your coin to the details you've learned, that moment of realizing you might own something no one else has, it's a rush that only coin hunters understand. Imagine the moment you hold your phone or magnifying lens up to a penny and suddenly notice something: a strange mark, a doubled letter, a raised chip, a cracked eye line, a misaligned strike, or a pattern of toning unlike anything you've ever seen. Your heart jumps, your curiosity ignites, and suddenly every bit of knowledge from this video becomes useful. The thrill of discovery doesn't come from watching someone else find a rare coin, it comes from realizing you might have one in your own home. And that's why collectors keep coming back, why they keep searching, why they never dismiss a coin as ordinary. Because they know that sometimes the most extraordinary treasures hide in the most ordinary places. Think about how many coins pass through your hands in a month, or how many pennies you've overlooked in drawers, car compartments, desk corners, or old jars filled with change. Each one is a potential mystery waiting to be solved, and the 2016 D is one of the most common dates people have in bulk, which makes it an ideal hunting ground for new collectors. If you truly think about the sheer number of 2016 pennies minted, billions, you begin to realize that the rarest coins are still out there, untouched, unnoticed, waiting to be discovered. The minting process is so full of variables that even today, new eratypes and unexplained varieties continue to surface, surprising the collector community again and again. And the next discovery could be yours. So here is the moment where you step into the story. This is where I ask you directly, what coins do you have near you right now? How many pennies have you passed by without looking closely? How many months or years have you collected change without realizing that one of those coins might be far more than just face value? This is your call to action, not just a simple suggestion, but an invitation to become part of something bigger. Go grab your change jar, your coin pile, your wallet. Spread out the coins under bright light. Pick up every penny carefully. Look at the date. If it says 2016 with a little d min mark under it, hold it up, turn it slowly, examine the details. You never know what you might discover. And while you're doing that, think about how many collectors around the world began exactly like this, with one simple decision to check their coins. Some of them went on to find rare errors worth hundreds or thousands. Some discovered varieties no one had catalogued yet. A few even found coins that became famous. You are now in the same position they once were in. You have the knowledge. You have the curiosity. And now you have the opportunity. Don't let it pass you by. If you enjoy these deep explorations into coins, if you want more long videos filled with massive detail, if you want breakdowns of rare pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, dollars, or any special coin series, then you already know what to do. But before anything else, make sure you actually check your own coins. That is where the adventure begins for real. That is where the next big discovery might be hiding. And that is where your journey as a collector becomes truly exciting. And now, as we bring this journey to its final moments, just take a deep breath and think about everything we uncovered today, because sometimes the smallest objects carry the biggest stories, and the 2016 1-cent coin is the perfect reminder of that. A coin that most people overlook, a coin that millions of hands touched without noticing, a coin tossed into drawers, pockets, vending machines, and change jars, suddenly transforms into a symbol of extraordinary value, decades of minting history, and unexpected treasure. And this is why I always remind people, never underestimate the power of knowledge, curiosity, and attention to detail. Because when you look deeper, these ordinary little copper-plated zinc discs unlock worlds of mystery, profit, excitement, and legacy that most people never even imagine. So if today's video awakened your curiosity, if it made you look at your spare change with a different perspective, if it encouraged you to search, inspect, explore, and discover, then you are already part of a global journey shared by collectors, historians, treasure hunters, and everyday people who simply dare to look beyond the surface. And now, before you leave, I want to ask you something important. Think about the moment you found something unexpected in life. Maybe it was a coin, maybe it was a memory, maybe it was a story someone told you. That feeling of discovery, that spark in your mind, that rush of excitement, this is the same energy that drives the coin collecting world. And if you hold on to that feeling, if you continue exploring, you will always keep finding new surprises in places where others see nothing. This is the beauty of this hobby. This is the magic of curiosity. And I am proud that you're here, experiencing this journey with me. Because every time you watch, every time you listen, every time you search your pockets or open an old drawer, you are not just looking for money, you are uncovering history, art, mystery, and opportunity. So to everyone who stayed till the end, thank you for giving your time, thank you for trusting this information, thank you for sharing your attention with me, and thank you for being part of this incredibly passionate community. And if you want more discoveries, more hidden treasures, more rare pennies, more unbelievable values, and more deep dives into American numismatic secrets, then make sure you stay connected. Because the world of coins is far bigger than anyone imagines, and I promise you, we have only scratched the surface. There are still countless coins out there with shocking prices, unexpected varieties, secret minting errors, and unbelievable auction records, and I will keep bringing them to you so you never miss the next big treasure hiding in plain sight. But before you go search your pockets, drawers, or old coin boxes, just remember this. Today could be the day you find something life-changing, something rare, something extraordinary. Maybe it will be a 2016 D penny with a hidden error. Maybe it will be a 2009, 1982, 1972, 1992 close AM, 1970s small date, or something even more surprising. Always check, always explore, always stay curious, because the next $1 million discovery might already be in your home, waiting for you to notice it. And with that thought, I'll leave you to begin your own treasure hunt. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, thank you for supporting, and thank you for being part of this journey. Stay sharp, stay passionate, stay curious, and I will meet you again in the next deep dive into the world of rare American coins, hidden wealth, and the incredible stories behind the smallest treasures.